Andy's thinking of playing football now.
All right, guys.
All right.
So here we go.
All right.
Here we go. Yep.
Vamos.
Bust scenario. Yeah.
So we're going to have a football team here. You know, we got the linebacker, running back, quarterback.
These guys
and you're the coach, right? With the ball head.
Come on, guys. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Man, this already sounds loud.
Yeah, I'll fix the sound over here. Once you put it on, you can hear it.
Do I need one?
Yeah, either ear you can put it on.
Yeah.
Try it.
You can hear your voice better.
Okay, doctor, let's pick yours up a little. This one. Speak.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. You have to get close?
Yeah, put the pillow behind you. And then get close to it. How's the volume in your headphones?
It sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing.
You got that? Just pick it up a little bit more, doctor, please. Right there.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
One more. Right there.
Testing.
Perfect.
Okay.
See the difference? Yeah.
And
Okay.
you got it?
Want me to talk back here or you want me to talk closer?
Right there.
Talk closer?
Right there. Like right there. Yeah. About
Okay.
this much. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So here we go. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Gentlemen, give me a tone, please.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Love University is about to be in session. Here we are. And Andy?
What's up, my man?
All right.
What's up? Hey, too loud.
No, you're good, huh? This is your first time doing a podcast?
Nah.
Yeah, well, this is the first time in Live University. That's
Of
right.
course.
We do everything a little bit higher level.
Gotcha.
A little more energy.
Definitely. So today we're back, another episode of Love University where, we aim 3 things. Our message is love yourself, love others, and a higher power.
Exactly, and that's what makes it worthwhile, right? Because you have to love yourself first. That gives you the energy, and then you can resonate outward to others and even a higher power. And today we have a special and very amazing guest today. This is Andy Audate. Andy. Welcome, Andy, to the show.
Thank you so much.
And this is an amazing story that we're about to hear. This young man came from, his parents actually from Haiti, immigrants, raised in kind of a very modest environment. Started working at the age of 10 at a barbershop, sweeping up hairs and cutting hair, I think at age 10 or 11. Ended up owning his own set of stores, cell phone stores. Became a published author and speaker by age of 21. Still is only 21 years of age.
22.
He looks about 40, but no, he's 20.
Bro!
He's got the mature mentality.
Yeah.
But he's got an amazing story. Andy, tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, how did all this begin?
How did what began? Where we're going to start off?
You becoming a speaker, an author, and just in general your
And
life.
he's going to say, it started when my mom and dad looked at each other. And,
Way back in the day, right?
Well, I mean, the speaker phase. Well, everything started at the age of about 18. I knew that I wanted to work in sales because you can make more money, you can make commission. So I was looking for different opportunities. I was searching for to work at T-Mobile and different cell phone stores because I know that was an opportunity to make some serious cash.
And did somebody influence you to think like that, or you honestly thought about, like, say, you know what, I want to be an entrepreneur from a young age?
Did someone influence me to think about making more money?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching a lot of YouTube videos of different influencers that were focused on sales and increasing income, increasing wealth. So I wanted to, get my feet wet. And I thought that cell phones was the first route to take. I thought that was the best route.
I think, Dr. Alvin, at this point in time, I mean, Andy's a millennial, and I think at the end of the day, it's the new generation that's taking it upon themselves to learn, to be self-taught, and they're not waiting for life to teach them. They're going out there and grabbing it. And that's the beauty about it, right?
Yeah, I think so. And this gentleman is very special because, he's written a book. It's called No More Average.
I see.
And Overcome an Average Life and Live as the Real You. So it's almost like he's an instrument. He's getting this knowledge. It's pretty amazing of how to live the real life, right? And he talks about the real you versus the unfulfilled you. Andy, what is the real you? Tell us about that.
The real you is a version of yourself that you were meant to actually live. And the unfulfilled you is the version of yourself who is consumed by averageness.
Well, that's looking at it in terms like in this capitalist society that we live in, is living to your full potential. Because in this society is about who has the best idea, who can move ahead, right? But a lot of people are afraid to jump into that stage. How did you overcome that fear and just went into action?
I understood the incompletion of my goals. The incompletion affects is when I don't actually achieve what I want to intrinsically achieve, who it actually affects. I met Dr. Avila at a sales conference that I hosted a week and a half ago, and that was a goal. It was scary, and I knew that I had to complete it, and this is why. There were going to be people I was going to meet who I did not know, and I was going to actually help them achieve their goals to push the world forward. Nice. So the incompletion of me putting on the sales conference literally halts a portion of the world moving forward. It's a trickle effect.
So you got to look at yourself, in essence, Dr. Avila, as an key element in life, and not look at yourself as just a bystander, right?
Yeah, because he thinks of himself as a cause. Now he says, I take responsibility for the happiness of others in some way. People I don't even know. Because by taking steps to, as a speaker, an author, basically a motivator, he's actually reaching out to people he doesn't even know. So if he decides to live a life of averageness, a lot of people are missing out. So that was really interesting because you're taking responsibility for other things that a lot of people don't talk about.
Right. And I believe that everyone has a responsibility, and once everyone fulfills that responsibility, the world is going to be such a different place.
And why do you think a lot of people fear it? Because a lot of us, I would say, a lot of us tend to be entrapped in the 9-to-5 mentality. There's nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. A lot of people like it, making a living. But that's all they're doing. They're getting supplied for their life, and they're not living their lives to the full potential like you are. What was the difference that set you apart in your mind to say, you know what, I don't want to be part of the pack. I want to stand out.
So you asked me two questions. The first question was, why do I think that people fear it? And the second question was, why did I not want to be part of the pack, and which is not average? First and foremost, let me define what average is for the listeners. Average is mimicking the efforts and ideas of other people, or living vicariously through them. Now, to answer the first question, why do people fear moving forward in removing averageness? Well, the thing is, it's a lonely road. We as human beings innately want to move together as a pack, but with removing averageness, because of the loneliness that comes with it, it's too scary, man. And plus, I don't know if I'm right. There's doubt, there's fear, and where the fear takes place, everyone has a different fear. It can be fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection, and all of this. But you'll notice that fear is, it all started with a person's youth. We are only consumed by, like when we're born, the only thing that we're scared of is sound and death and falling. Those three things. So fear of rejection, that came from years of rejection, saying that I don't want to deal with that anymore. And then the second question, can you repeat the second question? Because I forgot it.
The second question first was the influence, like why do people fear it? And the second one is, I forgot. Because I got so caught up in listening to you. I'm thinking, as you were saying, I honestly, as you were saying that, I thought about, what is my fear? As you were saying it. And I think, honestly, between us and the listeners, my fear has been the success. Because I know I have all the elements to do it, but I felt like, okay, you know what, if I jump on it, who is it going to affect? Instead of thinking like you were thinking in a positive way, who is it going to affect in a positive way? I was thinking, who is it going to affect in another way? I don't know. It's weird, but so, I like the journey we're taking here with this conversation.
To answer your second question, what made me move forward away from the pack is because of what you just said.
Yeah.
I understood who it would affect negatively if I don't move forward. So I had to take a responsibility of people I didn't know. I was working with a coaching client yesterday, and we made up an example of him being a coach to help other people.
Right.
And I said, give me an example of your client that they would come up to you and they would need your help to do. What would they need to do? And he gave me the example of an individual who's scared to move forward with a triathlon. And I said, look at it like this. Your client moving forward with a triathlon is that person is gonna have to train on a regular basis, correct?
Right.
So now, check out this ripple effect. And this is obviously just a scenario. It's not always like this, but this is just a scenario, and this is how my brain takes it. So your client is training to do a triathlon. Their children, who is at the age of maybe 1 or 2, is watching the mom or the father train hard. You are saving this child's life from obesity right now.
You're being an influence on them.
That parent, because they're working so hard for a triathlon, they are saving their child from obesity because now the household is focused on training and health versus McDonald's and BK. Now, how did the parent get to start doing the triathlon? Well, he started working with the coach. So who had the responsibility there? The coach.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like the ripple effect. I like that terminology because it's cause and effect, right? So he's seeing himself as a cause for an effect to influence the world.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it's going from selfishness to selflessness, right? Which is a powerful transition. A lot of people don't have that. We're all thinking about our own problems and it's going to affect us. He's thinking about how can I affect others in a positive way. So he has pure empathy, right? He's putting himself in other people's shoes in the future, not just in the moment.
And actually thinking about what he can do to be that element to make it happen.
Definitely.
And he's putting the action and making the actual action happen, not just thinking about the thought. And yeah, the thought is there, but if you don't give that energy life and movement physically in this world, you're not doing it.
The other thing I was going to say is, you talk about fear, but there's also laziness. Okay, like people get very comfortable, right, with their lower self. The bad habits, the bad thought process, and it becomes natural to them. And there's also a little bit of negative excitement too, like a little bit of that, whether it's gossiping or whatever negativity they have, and they get used to it. But Andy, what you're trying to tell people is to be your real self, right, your authentic self, or your true self, and to live beyond averages, right, to be exceptional.
Correct.
So tell us more about that, because your book is really fascinating. You talk about different points, right, to how to be exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a point that you think is strong.
With overcoming averageness?
Yes.
Well, I wanna make a comment on what you first said. That laziness, procrastination. Look, at the end of the day, you completing your goal is life or death. Not necessarily for you, but could be for someone else. Mm-hmm. And if you go down the levels through the ripple effect, you'll see someone could actually die from you not completing your goals. Wow. If you don't do what you're actually meant to do. If someone is meant to have a radio station, right? If you don't do this radio station, there are many guests and there are many listeners who will never hear your guests. But if you do the radio station that you innately always desired, like you always wanted this radio station for some reason, and you do it and you actually go through with it, overcoming all opposition of fear, rejection, fear of failure, doubt, all that stuff, and you bring on a guest that one of your listeners could listen to, you might save that person's life. If that person was suicidal.
Right.
There was a time that in July 2016, I was scared to speak. I was actually fearful to get on stage and speak.
Was that one of the first times that you were?
That was my first time.
Yeah. God told 1 year ago.
Mm-hmm. 1 year ago. God told me that I was laying down on my bed, and God said, "Look, I need you to speak in front of your church tomorrow." I was like, "Whoa!" I took some notes on my phone from the Bible. And I was getting ready to speak, and then when it came down to speak, I was like, "Whoa!"
You were melting.
I was scared, bro. I was scared. However, 4 months later, I get the same feeling to speak. So, in July, I didn't go to my church. I didn't speak. 4 months later, I got the same feeling. I had to overcome that fear. I overcame that fear, and I had the notes written down from July. And I got on stage, and I spoke at my church. And I put that video on YouTube. I recorded it because my first time speaking, I put it on YouTube. Someone messaged me months later and said I was about to kill myself. I didn't know that person.
Wow.
He was about to kill myself, but it's something that you said, and because of that, I knew that I had to continue to keep going.
So you pretty much is like knowing that, that at the end of the day, like you said, your actions are going to affect somebody in a positive way, and you're always in that power lane, no positivity only.
Correct.
Think about that, Gene. We're creating babies in the future, right?
Yeah.
Happily married couples that listen to our show. We're perhaps creating people that are suicidal, like you said, to change their lives, right?
Right.
So this Love University, right? It's all about love, right?
Uh-huh.
So by spreading the love, who knows? We're saving families, perhaps helping other people, and bringing guests like you on the show, right? That can also transform people.
Correct.
So that's the powerful way of thinking. But I mean, many times people are self-centered, right? It's all about us, right? Make more money, this and that, But you even talk about in your work, what did you call it? Progressive Cell Company, right?
My company was Progression Wireless.
Progression, right? So this is interesting, Nachini. He says that my biggest desire is to help my employees progress in life psychologically. So that was his main purpose for having this company.
And money just came naturally, obviously, right? You were focused on the inside, the positive, and the functioning of the human being instead of just using the human being as a tool to sell something, right?
So we're skipping a step, and the reason we're skipping a step is Dr. Avila already read the book, so he already knows. But for the listeners, they're gonna listen to this part and they're gonna say, what is he talking about? So why did I call my company Progression? I come from an impoverished area in Rhode Island. Drugs, gang violence, stupid things.
Right.
Stupid things. So how do I combat it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I noticed that I can't really preach to the people because they're always working.
Yeah.
They're always working. I had an opportunity to open up a business. So if you're working for me, I therefore control your schedule.
Right.
I know where you're going to be, and I know what information goes into your head. So I took that opportunity to obviously make money in the cell phone business,
Right.
but also to help my peers by progressing.
And advancing them.
And advancing them. So I would, in the office, I would put on personal development, Les Brown, the Grant Cardone, and so on and so forth. Put on personal development to help these people psychologically. But to also show these individuals, look, at the time I was 19. Look, I can do this.
19 years old.
19.
Yeah.
Right, you had just graduated from high school.
2 years prior, yeah.
Oh, so you were so ahead already.
And he had several different cell phone companies.
Yeah.
You're really teaching us, like me, I'm in my 30s, to honestly look at myself and say, man, what's been wrong? What have I been doing wrong? And tighten up my screws. Honestly.
Well, if we look at things like what's wrong, we look at things in a negative light.
Okay.
What am I doing right? What would I do different?
Oh, that's a different perspective.
A positive reframe.
Instead of looking at yourself as like a victim, right? Or like giving yourself the negativity of, you know what, angry at me because I didn't do it, and you live in remorse type of thing. You know?
So what have I not done to my best potential is the better question.
I gotta do things better. You know,
right.
we didn't do anything wrong, and this is just part of the story. So I believe truthfully, like if there's a certain way that you've lived so far, you didn't do anything wrong, but this is just part of the story. So in the future, you can actually help others who are in the same predicament.
That's true.
But Eddie, you did say that only 20% of your employees wanted progression, and 80% didn't. And you became so frustrated, you locked yourself in the bathroom and were crying. Tell us what happened. You probably forgot this.
No. This was a situation in my life, man, that was a complete turnaround, and I believe that night is when I decided to really take my life to a whole new level, and the next step was California, because that business, and I was raised in Rhode Island. For listeners and for not Chino to know,
sure,
not Chino to know. So there was a time I was financially frustrated in my business. When you have business money, it's different than personal money.
Right.
Business money, you need a surplus to be able to take care of your employees. And I remember there was a time where, because I was new to business and I grew so fast, and I think at the time I was maybe 20 years old, I grew so fast, and I have these locations, all these employees. I did not understand that they were in business as peaks and as valleys.
Right.
So for a while, I'm going up and up on the peak.
Climaxing.
You know, $3,000 a day, $90,000 a month in revenue, like going up, and then boom, it goes down.
The bubble first.
And I'm like, whoa. So my finances at the time were still as if I was making that large sum of money. My expense, I mean.
Yeah.
So I remember my assistant looks at me and she did like a finance report, and she did all these graphics and these charts, and she's showing me. She said, Andy, based on the way that we're trending, if we continue this way, we're gonna be negative in the bank.
You
know, so at the time I was positive. So I was like, oh shoot, I need to make a complete change. So I start, tearing down expenses and removing people's hours and so on and so forth. Then there was a time that I came to the office by myself. I had a 5-person office, and I was working there late at night by myself. And I'm sitting at one of the desks, and I'm looking at the bank account statement. I'm looking at how we're going. I'm saying, like, why did I allow this to happen? It was a rough time. So in my office, across from the desk was a bathroom, and although I was by myself in the office, I just wanted to go to the bathroom in the dark. So I walk into the bathroom and I sit down right across from the toilet. To my left is the ceramic sink. To my right is a wall. And I just sit down with my knees to my chest, and I just start crying.
Like a baby.
Like a baby, and I just lie down. And my head is against the wall. My head is against the door. My feet is rubbing against the toilet. And I'm just like, asking myself why. And then I just get up and I leave. Just get up and I leave the office. Forget everything. And I go to my car and I prayed. I prayed so strongly and so faithfully. And I said, God, remove anything hindering my success. Remove anything hindering my success. I'm thinking that one of my employees is robbing from me. I don't know what's hurting my business right now. And obviously, it's sales at one point as well. But there's something hurting my business. Weeks later, my right-hand man who started the business quits. like a week and a half later. And I was like, whoa.
Where did this come from?
Where did this come from? Yeah. He quit, and then I didn't realize. Wait, let me look at my business again. Why did I start this? For progression. How many people are really focused on progression? 2 out of 10. On average, 2 out of 10. So I have all these employees who don't care about progressing, who are literally here for a paycheck. And I'm like, that wasn't my vision. I need to rethink this whole entire thing.
So you're in the wrong business, perhaps.
In some ways, yeah, because of the fact of people really just came for a paycheck. I thought people were gonna come and say, "Look, this is dope. I get to progress." But no, people didn't care. It was like, dude, I'm just here for my $10 an hour.
So you pretty much realize that you cannot drill people into changing. It has to come from them.
Yeah, that's the message, right, in the book.
That's the message. One of my employees, I walk up to a store, Joe, and Joe looks at me and he says, he sees the frustration in me, like, what's going on? And he was part of the individual. He's part of the 20% that was, willing to move forward. And he said, Andy, you can't change someone. You can only help someone change themselves. I said, whoa.
That hits you.
I said, whoa. That makes sense. No one did it for me, but there were people that helped me move forward.
They give you hints on how to do it.
Yeah, and I
mentors that help you.
Mentors, what is it? Constituents, confidants, all that, whatever. But there were people along the way that helped me move forward because I wanted it.
Yeah.
And then I understood that you can't change someone. You can only help them help themselves.
I think you said, why don't I go to a place where 80% of people want to learn, and that's a seminar. Maybe that made you want to become a seminar leader.
No, not necessarily. Because in my business, I had a emotional attachment to all my employees because they worked for me day in and day out.
And you cared for them, but they were a family for you. They were an arm from your body.
Correct. So then, with the speaking, what I'm doing is I cast out a net to the people who want to change. So if there's 150 people in the room, there's 500. They're gonna hear my voice. They will understand the message, and then those people will come to me and say, "Look, I'm that person."
Right. So you focus on the positive guys. Not on the ones that are like doubters or the ones that are not interested. You focus on the ones that will
But the ones that come to you oftentimes are open. There's more of an openness because they're coming to you. They're paying to get in, right? So they're have the different mindset. So that's a positive for you, right?
Not necessarily. There are a lot of people who go to events for fantasy.
Really?
Fantasy. So if you read the book, there's a difference between like fantasy and a goal. But fantasy helps people escape real life. So they feel good by going to these events. And
like they actually did the thing.
Yeah, I did it.
Oh, I already attended that thing. Pretty much. And it's not for me.
No. Even if they say it's for me, like they can recite, the stuff that you say, but they fantasize while going to these events, or they fantasize while doing personal development. But it's not. They're not really about that life.
They're not living it.
So you still think it's 20% then, even at the seminar, or is it a little bit higher?
No, it's smaller.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. In my company, because my company was 14 people. So if you do 2 out of 10, that's still, in my company it was 20%. But in population, we're talking about 2%.
Man. So pretty much in this time, like there's the constant battle Dr. Avila and I always have. Doctor, are we focusing on reaching the people that want to hear the message or the ones that are not hearing it? And we come to a conclusion that it might not be a podcast about entertainment per se, like society perceives entertainment and pleasure, but our focus is to reach that one person. If it reaches one person, we feel satisfied, and that's the whole point with this. And I think that's what you're teaching us too with your message, that you got to focus on the light, and as you go and you pass through the journey, whoever rubs off of it, great, but you cannot bring people and force them to change. They have to reach that level on their own, right?
That's correct. And planting the seed, you plant this one person, can spread it to another person, and so forth. So that's the light. But you talk about influencers, right? You say there's some people that influence you in a negative way, both directly and indirectly. Whether it's through their facial expressions. I think you were saying that even your mom wanted you to go to college, but you did not want to go to college.
Yeah, man.
And this is going to be a controversial topic because a lot of mamas are going to say, "Well, you don't want to go to college."
Right.
But tell us about that story.
Man, it's funny because I think like 2 days ago, man, my mom called me and she was still talking. Are you at UCLA right now? Yeah, dude. Yeah, we were just talking about it, and I was like, "Mom, look what I've done," and we're still talking about college, and she's like, "Hey, man, like." it helps you with the degree. And I asked her a question. I said, Mom, if I'm the CEO of the company, who do I have to give my resume to?
And what did you say when you told the?
It's a paper. It's a paper that counts. And I'm like,
parent thing. We love our kids to go.
You're like, Mom, I can print one, please.
But you're self-taught, aren't you? I mean, you've learned a lot on your own, through life, I guess, through books.
Yeah, no, not necessarily through books. I think the majority of my education has been through other people. Mm-hmm. My circle. If I looked at my phone book right now, there's more people who are older than me. I made a joke. I made a joke the other day. Yes. I was talking to Charlie Chena, who is the vice president of sales for Lightspeed VT, and Eric Stoller, who's the CEO of Strategic Seminars. So I'm talking to these two individuals, and they're helping me, and we're just, they're my friends.
They're older guys, 50-year-olds.
They're my exactly. Yeah. I'm saying to myself, one person said, "Oh, I turned 51 in a couple weeks." The other one's like, "Oh, I'm 51 now," and I'm like, "I'm 22."
I'm 20 plus, right?
I'm 20.
I guess Dr. Avila, and
so he's like channeling an older man.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And he has an older essence to himself, older soul that he carries himself as an individual like that. And the beauty about it, I think, is that he woke up and recognized who he was. Because it's the same thing in my case. Like, I've always been drawn to older people. That's why I do the podcast with Dr. Avila. Because it doesn't matter.
I'm younger than you. What are you talking about?
You're only 21, Dr. Avila. I'm 18.
At least that's spiritual.
That's how we are, definitely. But I believe that anybody that you surround yourself with, like you said earlier, it's going to give you something to take away. And I feel like I get more from a person that already lived, that can already turned around the block and knows what's coming in sort of a way. I know life is never predictable, but you can see the patterns, and somebody that has already crossed that bridge can come back and tell you, what, at the end of the day, these are the choices, because they're not focused on our age group. Our age group, people are thinking about partying and doing all this, and you can do that as an executive, but everything has a balance, and I think a lot of people don't want to have the balance, and that's one of the losses.
But also he talks about positive people and people that have a higher level nature, right? So that's why I'm about to steal a line from you again, because you have a lot of good lines. He says, you're the average of the 5 people you're closest to, right? Your personality.
Yeah.
So in other words, think of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. That's kind of, that's going to be kind of your nature.
I didn't say that.
I paraphrased, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I know. I think Jim Rohn is the one that said that.
Oh, you said that. Okay, so you quoted him saying that. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't. That's not my quote.
Okay, but you agree with that. Tell us why you agree with that.
I do agree with that, because in the book I talk about the 2 different type of influencers. You have the indirect influencer, and then you have the verbal director. So to sum it up, indirect influencer is a person who, based on their actions, after you say something, affects the way that you think. Then you have the verbal director who actually tells you, hey, this is what you need to do with your life. Indirect influencer example. Hey, Nachina, I want to start a business. Start a business. Okay, because
I'm not you, Nachina. We'll take it personal.
Yeah, but because of that laugh, it's like it makes you double guess yourself. And now part of you wants to start a business, the other part of you is like, wait, Nachin, based on his reaction, I shouldn't start a business, so therefore I'm imbalanced. So that's an indirect influencer. Then the verbal director is the individual that tells you, look, this is what you need to do, which is either in alignment with your goals or not in alignment with your goals.
Right. So you got to kind of like really, really set yourself apart from the pack by really realizing who you're talking to and what kind of individual is that kind of person, and whether you want to have them around you or not, right?
Correct.
He also talks about the points of greatness, or the thoughts of greatness. And I think that was really a strong part of his whole platform. It's not just, not be ordinary, right? Not be average, but how to be great. And one point you talk about is implementation. Now, implementation, to actually act upon your goals. When I met Andy, I went to see Les Brown, which is a famous speaker, and Andy was speaking too.
So he was there?
Yeah, he was speaking.
Oh, they gave me 5, bro. You're good up there, man.
No, but this is it. So I introduced myself. We talked a little bit.
It was my conference.
I was going to say that.
Give me double 5.
But see, as he's a speaker, but then I saw him walking around, really fast and talking to people. And then it turned out that he actually organized and ran the whole conference with all these big name speakers. So he is a master, I think, of implementation, right? Taking the step and actually acting. Yeah. In the book, he talks about people that take their blessings too soon. For example, they have a little success, and they live off that laurel, but then they don't keep acting, so they lose that blessing. And I think people that win the lottery you're mentioning, right? Someone wins the lottery for $1 million, and then they're on welfare a year later because they didn't maintain that blessing.
They kind of like sat and became lazy. They didn't do anything anymore. They didn't feed that energy to continue, right? Because I think at the end of the day in life, you got to continue feeding whatever you want to do. One thing that I understand, like for instance, yesterday I went out, I'm feeding my YouTube channel, and I went out to do, it's a hobby for me, but I went out to do something on tacos. I love tacos. So I went around and I invited a buddy of mine, and he came along. He was helping with the camera. But when I came back home and I was analyzing the footage, I realized that he wasn't putting himself into it. And I said, you know what? It's not his gig. He doesn't care for it. I said, if it's going to take me at the one-man team to do it, I'm going to do it. I said, yeah, I might have, in my mind, wasted those hours being out there, but I think it wasn't a waste because I learned to not depend. I learned to be on my own. And I think a lot of times we kind of blame others, and we don't want to take responsibility. The moment you take responsibility for your actions and for who you are, I think that's the moment you shift.
Yeah, that's definitely a lesson.
Definitely. And I was looking at the camera when you replied. I'm sorry. We're going to have this on our YouTube channel, Love University.
By the way, you're in good form today, Nachin. I see you very mellow today. Now, it is a Saturday morning.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't know if that makes a change, in terms of, your energy.
It is, Doctor,
right?
because we decided to change our taping days. We used to do Thursdays, but I told Dr. Avila, you know what? I have a very active lifestyle right now. I changed careers. I'm moving more into the advertisement end instead of just being a presenter.
Right.
And I said, if I don't do it, I'm not going to get done. So I've been concentrating. I've been real busy. Like, I get up and I go to sleep like at 12, get up at 6, 12, and then the next day the same thing. So it was kind of hectic for me. So we spoke about it and I said, why don't we do it on a Saturday? And I said, it's because I want to do this with good energy and a day that's more relaxed.
The morning energy, right?
Yeah. So it comes back to the changes, right? Making changes in your life to make it suitable to get to that goal, you would say?
Of course, man. Of course. That's considered a thought of greatness. It's the thoughts and ideas that are produced in your mind that is a direction towards your goal. So if you vision yourself, which is what we call COV, the completion of your vision, if you vision yourself being more energetic and you do it on Thursday night and you're not energetic, that's going to affect, the two energies. It's going to affect the success of this success of this podcast.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, talking about goals, I mean, I read a lot of books, and of course I'm in the field of psychology, but there were 4 interesting points here, Andy, about goals that I really haven't heard too much of. I want to just mention them briefly, okay? I just want to get your take on them. The first one was write down incompletion affects. In other words, I think what you mean is, what happens if you don't meet the goal? Tell us a little bit about that. That's interesting.
So many people would actually disagree with me, because we're talking about the negative. But dude, you gotta be self-aware, man. You gotta know who it affects when you don't complete your goal.
What affects when you don't?
Who it affects. There was a woman at my sales conference, right? My sales conference that I hosted last week and a half ago at the LAX Marriott. A woman who's homeless in Las Vegas saw me on a Facebook Live with Les Brown. Calls my cell phone, because I gave it out on the Facebook Live. Calls my cell phone. And she can't get through. It's busy because so many people are bombarding my phone. But she eventually gets through. She talks to me, and I tell her, regardless if you're homeless, you need to be at this conference. Right. This conference is a life changer. Well, she goes through her fears. She takes her time, but she eventually calls me and buys the ticket for $500. It took her 15 hours to get the money, $500 ticket, and then she has to pay for a flight. She doesn't even have enough for a hotel or a car.
Right.
But she makes it. She makes it here. Now, my goal was to have this conference. I didn't know who it would affect.
Right.
It took me 96 days to have this conference. Whole 3 months. She bought the ticket the day before the event actually took place. So I did not know this conference was going to affect her. I did not even know her. Then I called her for an update after the event. She said, Andy, I've been closed mouth about my situation for 20 years. She was abused and raped as a young woman. And they broke into her house or whatever the situation was, but she was raped as a young woman. And she was like, I've been silent all these years. And then on top of that, I have a book in me, and I've been wanting to get this book out, but I've never have been able to get the book out. So I called for the update. She's like, I'm ready to be a speaker. I'm starting with my book. I'm going to have it done by October 20th.
Nice.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
That's good.
So who does my conference affect, which was my goal? Right. It affected her. Now it's going to affect her kid, and it could affect her income.
Okay. Power on that machine. So not only who will my goal affect if I complete it, but who will my goal an uncompleted effect.
Right.
In other words, the people that do not benefit from my goal being completed.
That is a good analysis.
That's a reversal of energy. Right?
One thing, going back to that, when she called you, did it ever pass by your mind when she told you she was homeless, of you giving her the ticket?
For free.
For free?
No, because my belief on giving free tickets is that people don't actually value it. You pay for it, you're gonna value it.
You're gonna know what it took to get them.
No, yeah. Dude, it's $500. I'm gonna go get my $500 worth. I give it to you for free. You come to the same event.
Yeah,
it's
whatever.
Like, dude, it was a free event, man. Cool.
Now, why did you ask that question, Nachin? Are you thinking from a charity point of view, or?
Yeah, from a charity point of view, because I'm a very giving person.
You're a loving person.
And I love to give help. I love to give people. And I question myself a lot of times through this journey. Am I doing the right thing by helping others, like with free information? Like, for instance, in my field of marketing, like I handle the digital and also FM, radio, and TV's marketing placement. And I realized, I feel like sometimes I met other people that are just flirtatious and they're con. Like, they go to you and they ask you for information.
Right, so they're trying to take advantage pretty much.
Yeah. But because of my good heart, I've been taken advantage of. So I'm trying to gauge that,
so
I guess.
It's kind of a balance, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
You want to give love, but, you know, you want to be rational too. I mean,
That is true.
You're talking about, you know, the value of something that you earn, right? I mean, you come from that background. You work very hard for everything, no?
Look, if you're trying to help, a couple days ago, I was on Skid Row. I gave out, I don't know, 50 slices of pizza, fed 50 people with pizza, and I went to McDonald's and bought 55 cheeseburgers and gave it all out to Skid Row. But look, if you are trying to help a drug addict, right, it takes money to buy drugs. Yeah. So these people have the ability to get money. It's about what they're getting the money
what they want. Yeah.
It's about if I'm actually gonna, I just wanted to feed some people for the day.
Right.
I wasn't trying to change anyone's life. Here's a cheeseburger. I'm out here preaching to you. I'm out here saying, here's a cheeseburger.
Yeah. We're practical guys.
If they want it, they're gonna get it. I don't want to have someone in the room who got a free ticket and I'm trying to help them change their life. There's been deals I cut. You have to pay something. I know right now you probably can't afford a $500 ticket or a $1,000 program, but you gotta pay something. So if I'm gonna give you this is a charity, dude, you gotta pay something.
Right.
And you have to pay an amount that I know is a stretch for you. So if you tell me you make $100 a week, I want you to pay $300.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the good book. They said, when something costs you, it has value.
Right.
Whether it's a donation or something, there's something in it. If it's free, then sometimes there's not a value in it. The tithes because of value. So I can see what you're saying, Andy.
If I was a girl, I wouldn't give it up for free.
And he has a very good female voice.
Dr. Avila likes to fantasize on it.
I don't think so.
Dude, don't say something.
Only in Spanish.
Don't say something.
He's a little bit out of control.
Don't say something.
It's funny. It's humor. You can take life too serious either way.
That's true.
Those are the young years. I commend you for everything you've done.
But these are all too serious at times.
I know, and that's the one thing that I tell Dr. Avila. You can't take life too serious. As you get older, you're going to realize that. Ask one of your mentors, all the people that know everything about positivity, and you're going to realize that it's not everything about your way. You have to learn and realize that it's just about words and enjoying the moment.
I think you're learning that because, and you told me that when you came out here, you didn't smile, right? You didn't laugh because you were raised in a tough environment, right? Where if you smile, it seems you weak. And you told me you went to church and you started to smile, right? And it changed a little bit.
Last year, church in LA. I was going to church in Rhode Island, but when I went to church in LA, there was a major shift.
Right, so tell me why were you like serious and now you're a little more smiley? But not too smiley, but a little bit more.
I thought I was doing a good job, man.
You're working on it, bro.
Well, so I come from the impoverished environment that I come from in Rhode Island. Is
it called the ghetto?
It's a ghetto. You call it what you want. Call it the hood. Call it the ghetto. I call it home. So in that environment, the way that I protected myself was because of my demeanor, but because of my body structure, I was able to get away with a lot of things. I never got jumped. Thank God, knock on wood. I never got jumped. I never got shot at. Never got stabbed. But I think people would look at me and say, "Dude, I don't know what this guy's up to. Don't mess with him." Because once you show people your hand, then they know your weaknesses. So with me, you see me at a party, you see me at the corner, and I'm not smiling, but I'm looking at you. You don't know you don't know what's going on.
What's coming? You don't know what's coming.
You don't know what's actually happening. But if I'm in there like smiling, jumping up and down, you know your plans of attack.
Right. they're like that song by Snoop Dogg. I don't know if you heard it.
Survival, right?
Yeah. If you're soft, you're lost. There's a lyrics by Snoop Dogg that he's talking about a rap song, and it's true because it's different levels of life. It's where you come from that makes you. A lot of people live in a nice fantasy world, but most of us.
Orange County or something.
Yeah, most of us. Yeah, most of us are not that 1%, you know.
Exactly.
And we talk to everybody. At least as we hear, we try to make a general message.
Right. But he's learning. I think you're right. That humor is a powerful weapon and tool for connection, and laughter and smiling.
Yeah.
I mean, little by little, that's something very positive. So it is lovey energy that's being extended. When you smile at someone, hey, I like you. It's nice.
And realizing that every situation is different.
Yes.
You're not there. You're moving on in life, and every person is different, and giving everybody that chance, to be
right.
themselves.
I think you have a good heart. I can say you do care.
Of course, and my mom noticed that too. She told me that recently, that I have a good heart.
Yes.
But when I was home, it didn't seem that way because of my demeanor.
Yeah.
Oh, were you kind of rough or?
No, because his body language was interpreting silence.
More serious.
And stone face, like, you know what, I'm here.
Is your mama like to love you kind of guy?
She very much is. She very much is a church woman, loving woman. So I get that from her, but based on the environment, you can't move forward that way.
Yeah. But now you're in LA, man. You can smile, right?
Yeah,
let's go to Venice Beach.
But put your sunglasses right, and
But so my COV, my completion of vision, when I visioned myself in LA, I saw myself smiling. I saw myself happy.
Right.
So I wanted to, when I landed, I wanted to make that a reality like as soon as possible.
Okay.
So because of the church and the people I got around, I made sure, because I'm in a new environment, not to hang out with people who are in bad things, because I knew that I would end up going backwards.
But by the way, another friend that we have is my son Andy over here.
Yeah, what's up, Andy?
Andy.
6'6" basketball player.
He came by. He's helping us with the YouTube channel feed here.
Behind the scenes.
We're going to play a little basketball after class, right?
And you know what? Looking at these two young men, Dr. Avila.
Strong and mentally.
That's what I see. I see that it's a generation shift that at one point, I thought about, like, what's going to happen? I mean, yeah, I'm here. I'm going to be gone. But the next generation, what's the world they're going to face? But seeing individuals like both Andy's here, I realize that it's a better place that's coming, Even if we're not here, there's people that are structuring themselves and being strong about that.
Yeah, and they're thinking evolutionary-wise, the future, right? How my actions impact. Okay, a couple more things, Andy. Okay, you said write down who will keep you accountable. In other words, for your goals. In other words, who's that person that's going to call you and say you're doing well or not?
Right. Look, at the end of the day, in my opinion, and I believe this wholeheartedly, is that you need to have other individuals who can help you progress, who can actually move you forward. It's hard to do it on your own, so take the easier route and have other people help you.
Push you.
Yeah, so write down, when you're writing down your goals, besides, putting date and searching for mentors, have people who you can depend on that, hey, are you doing what you're supposed to do? Can you keep me accountable? I need you to keep me accountable and move forward.
Also celebrating small wins, and I like this one because it fits with our idea of momentum,
Right.
Like every little moment you step forward gives you more power, right? Gives you more energy. And you talk about that too, right? To celebrate the small wins.
I've studied with many successful people, and what I've noticed is that they celebrate small wins, but they don't go all out. They don't go all out. So the night of my conference, this is what I would have done many years ago. The night of my conference would have been a party for the weekend, right? But instead, I smiled at the end of the conference,
a little steak maybe,
and I said, okay, what's next? What's next? It's over. It's over.
Yeah.
So I celebrated a small win with a smile, with grace, a prayer, and then next, what is next?
Right. It's like you have a playoff win, you have a little bit of wine, but you don't drink champagne until the championship game, right?
Powerful.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna use that.
But the idea is to actually acknowledge that you did something good. For as small as it is, actually acknowledge it, because at one point it was a thought and you accomplished it.
So your first conference.
You know what he said? That's something powerful. He said it was a thought.
Yes.
Chapter 1. It begins with a thought. The power of thought and action.
Definitely. The seed, right? The seed was a thought that you had, and it became the reality. Now I'm gonna say one thing here. Like in every book, usually there's one great takeaway that makes the book worth the price, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, of course, I brought you dinner, but, you gave me a book, so I didn't get that. But this is the takeaway I like. Now, he says, we'll be down with OPP. Now, remember that old song, OPP?
Yeah.
I'm going to OPP real quick.
Something like that.
But he means always positive people, or only positive people.
That's a good one.
And then he actually adds something to this interesting. He says, for the negative people, right, the people that take away your energy, don't try to just kick them out of your life because there could be repercussions, right? Maybe they'll come after you in some way. But he says this, instead of getting rid of the negative people, become so productive in actualizing your thoughts of greatness that you don't have time to entertain negative people.
That's a good way of doing it.
So that
you're putting yourself in the other lane instead of being in that lane that's broken on the freeway. You're like, why am I driving through this when there's like other lanes that I can jump on?
Or you're raising your platform, right? You go on a little higher elevation, so the negative doesn't bother you. Tell us more about that idea.
I cut up. I would say cutting off a lot of people is not really my forte. I've done it. I will do it if I need to. Yeah. But I'm more so just, dude, I'm just too busy right now to even have a conversation with you, man.
Peace.
Yeah. And a positive, I'm just at a different level, right?
I'm just at a different, because I'm looking to help people. So I don't want to cut off people unless you're really a threat. Yeah. Not a threat as in competition, but you really could affect me negatively. Right. I won't cut you off, but dude, I'm just too busy right now. Man, I'm on a podcast. I can't talk to you on the phone about drugs right now.
Or let's talk about what concert we're going to go to, you know?
Yeah, or let's talk what concert. Dude, I made a comment on my event. I said, you're here instead of at a rap concert. Exactly. No, you want to change, so it's my responsibility to deliver the value that you need.
It's pretty much what you do is you're restructuring people's ways of looking at life, because a lot of people, we tend to be lost in what they call the matrix, meaning like the whole consumerism aspect of things, where we get fed on entertainment. And you say, no, look, step out of that and come and see another road. Come and see a little different light. And I think that what I take from this message and from this podcast is that you're not forcing people. Whoever wants it will go and get it.
I like that. Yeah. Build it and they will come, as they say. Right? The other thing is, I like this phrase, success is the best revenge. Because many times people try to get back at other people. Oh, they said this to me, it's like this competition. But when you're at a higher level, right, you're succeeding and you're helping people, that is the best revenge. Right? That's a transformation of thought. Yeah. So you don't have to, try to get back at others. I'm sure people have hurt you in the past, right? In different ways. But instead of trying to get back at them, what do you say?
Peace out.
No, that's what No, I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose. What do I say? I don't say anything.
That's good.
You succeed, right? You take action.
I don't say anything. There's been people on social media who, try to talk me down, and so on and so forth. But then I post a picture of a video like this, and hey, we're on a podcast right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dude, and the guy's on his laptop, on his laptop in the home in the dark. Exactly. He's like, Andy, and start typing. Dude, I'm working. Yeah, I'm working, and I actually learned, right? I in the beginning of my journey, I was affected by the people who talked bad about me.
You will let them get to you.
It will get to me.
Sensitivity.
Yeah.
But then I realized that's actually a good thing. Recently with my conference, there was somebody who was talking bad about me, and I was like, whoa, there's somebody talking bad about me? I made it, dude. Man. Dude, I made it. Yo, keep doing it, keep talking. I made it.
Motivation.
It's like Michael Jordan, right? He'd say, people talk bad about me, it gives me fuel to get better.
And it's true, because those people are the ones that are lost, and you're showing them, like you said with your theories, is how you affect them by example. You're showing them that, you know what, dude, you're there, you're stagnant in second gear, bro. You got to kick it into third, fourth, fifth. Why not?
Yeah, so you told me about some of your bad experiences, right? People that have been negative. So in the same way, right, with the podcast and things we're doing now, you're showing them, right, that the success is the best revenge. Right?
The success is the best revenge, but like you said, I've also blocked people. I have my phone and I block people because I knew.
So you're a little tougher than he is.
It was done. I was at a point where I'm like, I look at myself like a battery pack. In the morning I wake up, I thank God for giving me another day. But I realize that I have energy. I recharge my batteries. And throughout the day, whatever I use that energy on is going to deplete my battery level. So if in one thought, if I'm thinking about somebody that's not even going to give me anything positive, I'm already draining myself.
It may hurt you too.
So I say, you know what? I'm not hurt. I just realized that that's not for me. Thank you. And you were a chapter in my life, and I'm moving forward. And I want to write different chapters with different
are you too nice to do that? It's hard for you to do that? To what? To cut people off? Or no?
No, if you look at my block list on my phone, I got a few blocks.
Oh, okay.
I got a few blocks. Yeah. Sometimes you got to...
So you're getting a little tougher in your old age.
Sometimes...
22.
You literally have to do what you got to do in order to move forward.
Right. But you do care about people, and that's I'm noticing. You really want to help people.
Yeah.
So it is hard for you to let people go. But sometimes, you're moving upward, right? That's the key.
Of course, of course.
So I think our bodyguard is telling us our time may be up.
We're up then. Yeah, we're up at 48 minutes, the longest podcast we've ever done.
Yes, right. We did it, man.
It's been very interesting.
You actually revolutionized
so much.
Love University.
Definitely, because at the end of the day, Dr. Audate, we want to bring people that affect others in a positive way, and we want to thank you for your time. Because
hey, bro, we gotta go for 12 more minutes, man.
Let's go.
Well, first of all,
okay.
we gotta go for 12 more minutes.
It's not gonna come out in the video. I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, you gotta transition them and say, oh, camera cut off. You need to go to the podcast to finish this.
Let's do it. Yeah, exactly. Let's do that.
So that way you got the views on there to come on here.
Yeah.
So I like that motivation now. Okay, one thing that you might even mention that was a very interesting technique is you almost like, I don't know if you want to use the word force, but you go into places where you don't know if you belong, but you make yourself belong. You talking about some dinner you went to? Tell us about that.
How did that go?
Like,
okay.
He persists until he gets what he wants.
He goes in there.
Tell us about that story.
Gotcha. The art of networking. There was are you familiar with Grant Cardone?
No.
Grant Cardone is a hectomillionaire and a social media influencer in the entrepreneur space.
Okay.
And so millions of dollars, millions of people following him. It's just me and the Audate. Now I know who Andy Audate is.
One of your old man from
he's a 58 or 59-year-old man from Miami, Florida, who was in LA. Now I know who Andy Audate is, and I know where I'm going.
Right.
That's someone I'm going to have in my circle. So there was a conference in Los Angeles. Now here's the thoughts of greatness, right? Thoughts of greatness is defined as thoughts or ideas produced in your mind that is the direction that is pretty much an alignment of your goal. So my goal is for him to be in my circle at one point, right? So I get a message, okay, this man is in Los Angeles. I live in Los Angeles.
Why not?
I live in Los Angeles. So where is he? He's at a conference, speaking at a conference. But my thought of greatness was to go to the conference. Now, there was a point that I was actually in balance. It's not bad to be in balance, but the good thing is to identify it. But there was a point that I was in balance. Should I go to the conference or should I not go to the conference? Pros and cons type stuff. Then 3 o'clock comes. The conference started at 10. It ends at 7 p.m. If I go to the conference, I still have to pay full price for a ticket.
Right.
So 3 o'clock comes. I'm still in balance, but I make the decision to do what? Take action and move forward. I get to the conference at 5 p.m. I only have 2 hours left to the conference, and I still have to pay full price for the ticket.
How much was the ticket?
It was like $100 or something like that. So here's where the thoughts of greatness led me in the right direction.
Right.
There was a man who has a podcast. I've been trying to get his attention for a long time.
Yeah.
Hey, brother, let me put me on your show. Whatever. So during the time that I walk in, even though I came in extremely late, I see the guy, and he says, "Hey, aren't you that motivational speaker that
trying to get at me?
That 22-year-old? Yeah. Hey, let's switch numbers now.
What?
Let's get in contact now. So now I got his contact information. We're going to do some work in the future. And we'll continue moving forward. 2 hours pass. The conference ends.
Yeah.
I look at Grant Cardone. I say, "Hey, brother, can I take a picture with you?"
This is a billionaire, a rich guy.
He's a millionaire. He's a hectomillionaire. So hundreds.
Well, he has influencer.
He has $540 million in assets.
Wow. So he's basically half a billionaire.
Yeah.
And successful.
Yeah. So I say, "Can I take a picture with you?" You just got off stage. "Can I take a picture with you?" He said, "Hold on 1 second. I gotta go get my wife in the conference room." And he goes into the conference room, and I say to myself,
He's not coming
back. So I follow him to the conference room.
Okay. Rule number 1: follow the lead. Right?
I follow him into the conference. Oh, you're gonna take notes? I love it. I follow him to the conference room, and I have a keen eye. I'm just focused on target.
Yeah.
And it's nothing bad, but I want to be in this circle. I need to be in the circle, and I'm going to be in the circle. But I understand as an influencer, there's so many people bombarding you with pictures and get autographs, and I love you, and you changed my life, and all this.
This is gonna be lost in the pile.
Yeah. So I said, I'm here to take a picture. So I go and take a picture with him, eventually, and somebody walks up to him. He says, "Hey, where are we going at dinner tonight?" And then I see him whisper, "Fleming's." Okay.
I'm there.
I'm the only one that literally heard this in the whole circle. Everyone is focused on the distractions.
Yeah.
I'm focused on the target. And Grant Cardone, great man. So I focus on the target. I want to be around his circle. And then next thing that happens is he's walking to the elevator. So I start walking with him to the elevator. And I'm just talking. So I talk my game. Look, I'm not a fan of him.
Right.
I'm a partner.
Yeah.
Different mentality.
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of fans running up to him. I come up to him, hey, I'm a partner. Hey, Grant, I have an opportunity for you. Let's talk about this. Next thing you know, he goes in the elevator, goes down, out of sight. So I know where he's going to dinner.
Before you go on camera, do you have a pen handy?
No, I don't.
Do you have a pen?
No. I don't have it here.
So he's going to dinner.
No.
So I know he's going to dinner. I go to Fleming's.
Yeah.
There was a man who was following Grant and I as we were walking, and I take him to Fleming's with me. Hey, you sound like a cool guy? Come to Fleming's. I got a gift for you. Watch this. So he comes to Fleming's like, I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know what we're doing. I go to the front desk and I say, can I have a table for 4, please? And they say, okay, this is a party of 2, but you're ordering a table for 4. I said, yes, the other 2 are coming.
Yeah.
So the reason I said I'm going to get a table for 4 because I knew that it would give me time to think about how I'm going to get into the room that Grant Cardone walks into. So Grant Cardone eventually comes into Fleming's, and I see him and his posse go to a VIP only room by him, separated from the masses.
The pack, yeah.
And I need to get in that room. So I get up out of my seat, I ditch this table, I go to the bathroom, I look myself in the mirror, and I say, hey man, it's time to make some stuff happen. Get out. And I go into the room that Grant Cardone was at. I'm not supposed to be there. I sit down, and I look at the waiter, and I say, can I have a potato soup and a wine, please? And they're like, okay. They order me my potato soup, and I'm just chilling there as if I'm supposed to be there. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to act like, oh my goodness. I'm a partner. I'm sitting down. Eventually, we're going to do business together. Right. So we start talking, and then what happens is there's opportunities in the show up. I showed up. Grant Cardone's partner invites me to Vegas to be on his podcast.
Wow. That's amazing.
And that would have never happened if you would have sat at your house thinking about
exactly.
Exactly.
Averageness, right? So you want to be on average. So you follow with intention, right? You are a partner, not a fan. And what's the third thing you said? There's opportunity in the show up.
There's opportunity in the show up.
Right. So just showing up is half the battle, right? You like go to the gym, right? And that's half the battle.
Right.
But you showed up in a place where I guess you were not even welcome, right, Mrs. Early?
No, not necessarily. I wasn't invited. No, I definitely was not invited. And they know that I wasn't invited, but they're like, hey, you're a cool guy, why not?
But once they showed up, so you sat there, they were already sitting there, or you walked in when they were not there?
They were already sitting there. They had just sat down, so they were waiting for a few more people to come.
Oh, so they thought you were one of the ones that was showing up?
Hey, man, yeah, I suppose. Maybe.
Now, would you say, is this called pressure sales, or do you have a different term for it?
I don't have a term for it. I call it life.
Right.
That's a good way of looking at it.
He's putting himself in there in kind of a strong energy, right?
Yeah.
Now, is that really pressure because you're not really trying to sell them anything, right?
I'm not trying to sell them anything.
So your mindset was, I want to partner with you for a positive goal.
Right, in future endeavors. However, look, we need to have a relationship, and how do I separate myself from the masses?
That's the question. How do you separate yourself?
You got to be the real version of yourself. So the real version of myself said, dude, you deserve to be at that table. This is your environment right here, so take a seat.
Okay. So you have an excellent relationship with yourself,
yes,
but also a great relationship with God, right?
Correct.
And that goes hand to hand at everything you do. You have to consult God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the word deserving is a positive word. I mean, he deserves, right? I mean, God's blessing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you receive from a higher nature, and you believe that God will give you bountifulness, right?
I believe that the thoughts of greatness come from God. You don't get the 10th step, but you get the first step in your mind. And once you go to the first step, you'll see the second, you'll see the third, as you continue to progress. So you might have the vision, but you don't have the 10th step. Right. So you got to continue. Now you might have the idea of what all the steps are, but you don't have it all.
Yeah. You take the first steps in faith, right? You don't know what's going to happen, right? But you claim it, right? In a sense, right? Is that what you did? Right? You claimed it without seeing it, and there was fear because you said you were torn between the authentic self and the inauthentic self, right? What do you call it? The inner self,
the real you, and the unfulfilled.
The real you, unfulfilled you. So the unfulfilled you was at home. Oh, I don't know if I should do this right. What was it saying to you? The unfulfilled you.
Dude, why would you go and buy a ticket to go there for 2 hours, go see a guy speak, and then get off stage?
Waste your time. Oh, yeah.
No, but I know going to these events you meet a lot of people, but I don't get the full bang because I miss
back to the
portion of the day.
Right, but the show up is the blow up, right?
And the goal itself, and living through the goal, and actually putting the action into it that made it happen.
Well, I mean, look. So I put it out there on Instagram. I said, I want this guy to know who I am. I took a picture with Grant Cardone earlier in the year, and it was at his conference with 2,000 people. Right before he went to the bathroom, I took a picture with him at a podium, and he took a picture with quick left. This dude doesn't know who I am. So
what's going on now? You're on the podcast, right? Is it okay what we're saying about this?
So of course. So then.
You don't get bad.
No, why?
But the next thing was for him to get to know me. So I put on Instagram. I said, look, one day this guy's gonna get to know who I am. If I call him, I'm sure he'll know who I am.
Of course.
Beautiful.
You know what? We're reaching that 1 hour mark, and we're not cutting it up.
2 hours. No,
2 hours.
2 hours is too much. However, I know like with podcasts, an hour long is a great number because a lot of people like to go for that whole hour and get those nuggets.
You see what he just did? He did it to us. He led us with intention. He wanted a full hour.
Yeah,
we were going to stop at 40 minutes, and he got it, right?
Yeah.
So, because he visualized it, right? And put it in his mind.
And he wanted to get the most of it, which that's the truth. And we learned something else from him. Exactly. We learned more. We learned more about his journey.
Definitely.
And I think
that story by itself is $1 million seller.
Look, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I've progressed a lot in my life in comparison to others, although I'm not comparing, but it's because of the people that I know. Right. I know Dr. Avila, and there's something that he'll say in my book, and say, based on the situation, or based on what I read in the book, and based on my past, this and this and that. And then I'm going to take that information, I'm going to say, that's what his thought process was. Is it true? And then move forward with the truth or with the false. If it's with the truth, it changes everything that I do. So he really focused on the incompletion effects.
Yes, I like that.
And for someone like Dr. Avila, who reads a lot and is a psychologist, for him to focus on the incompletion effects, that tells me I need to move forward a lot more with talks about the incompletion effects.
Yeah, that's a powerful terminology because people don't think about what you don't do affects people that you don't know, right? Which can change their life.
That's right.
So you're setting a chain of reaction. You remember the show Pass It Forward, the movie, you help someone to help someone else. It's a chain. But you're saying if you don't pass it forward, you kind of screw up people down the line.
Right.
Yeah. So it's always thinking positive, thinking true, and being honest with yourself and being proactive.
Yes, because not everyone can walk in a room authentically, but he can do it.
Yeah.
Other people will be quieter, maybe send an email or something. Okay?
Or doubting themselves, like thinking, what am I doing here? When he goes somewhere, I realize that you go in it for the purpose,
with
and you
attention.
Execute the mission, like a Marine goes
Right. He's like, what do they call those special services, right? The guys that go in.
Special forces.
Special forces, right? And accomplish the mission, right? No matter what.
I never looked at it like that.
But that's pretty much what you do. You're intact, you're focused, and you're going in for the mission, and you make it happen.
He's like an officer, right? Military officer. You gotta get on your fatigues next time, right? Get ready.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what don't we invite him to one of our talks? I mean, one of our upcoming presentations.
Definitely, yeah.
If you're around town.
We're gonna be doing a small one here in Orange County with another person. He's an entrepreneur. We had him. He's a rapper, white rapper that you would never think about, but he didn't let that stop him. He's also an entrepreneur. He opened his first. He visualizes it as his first national chain of nachos. Instead of burgers, he wants to sell nachos, but with different topics, Mexican style. He married. He was with the Mexican girl, so he got all those influences there. And he invited us to his place in the Orange County area. So let's go have a burger and some nachos. It's going to probably be the third week of November. We're setting it up.
Danny, tell us what you're going to be up to, and a little bit about your media and all that. What do you want people to know?
Yeah.
Well, where people can find me is at Audate, ANDYAUDATE, Audate, and more information at audate.com.
Great.
And I know you have a national seminar. You're going to go to New York or something like that?
Yeah, I'm working on some projects for next year in different cities throughout the country. I'm headed to New York next week, but I'll be back in Los Angeles for my event later on in 2018, June 2018.
Well, we invite you back on those days so we can come back and refresh people on your presence and invite them to be part of your event. How's that?
Thank you so much. Thank you. And they can reach us at lovetype4u, number 4, letter U, at AOL.com, and also guytypes.com. Until next time, loving yourself, others, and a higher power.
Thank you so much, brother.
Wonderful pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Two handshakes.
Dr. Alvarez trying to hold my hand.
The chain of love.
Thank you, guys. I'm Nachingo. Find me there on Instagram. Perfect. Let me save it. Save that. Here we go.
How'd you feel?
Great.
How did you feel?
Good.
Did you get your water? I left your water.
It was open. I don't know.
No, you don't.
You opened it, Dr. Or you opened both?
No.
I left it yours here. Careful, don't drop it here on yourself.
Let me go get you another one.
I'll get you one too. Yeah.
Dude, your podcast is powerful, man.
Dude, that's what we try to do.
The podcast, you know, just because like when you write a book, you tend to forget, you know, in detail what was written because it's your past. It's not it's not in the forecast or the forefront of my brain, and because you wrote it down, that's what makes it so powerful.
The details is the power. You know, we want to get to the core of things.
So just